YouTube. What's up, family? You already know it's Pays and Plays podcast here. It's Good Friday, September 8th. You already know. Listen, somebody asked me yesterday, was I stopped doing the audio? No, we're still podcasting on audio too. So we're available on iOS, Google Play, Spotify, whatever you get your podcast from. We are available. Pays and Plays podcast. You could type it in and it'll pop up. I guarantee you. So if you don't want to see this handsome face right here and you're busy or doing whatever you want to do, you can listen to me audio on the podcast. I also have the link in the description of my YouTube page, so you can check that out whenever you want to. But hope everybody's feeling good. You know, probably got your money in. You know, some people got paydays. It is a Friday. You know how that goes. Last Good Friday, 5-1. Yes, September. That was Labor Day weekend. We brought that in. I think that was the first of the month too. 5-1. What I'm going to say though, before I get more further ahead, there's going to be weeks where I might be complete dog shit. So I'm just going to warn you ahead of time. It's not always going to be a 5-1, 6-0, or a 4-2. There might be 2 and 3s. There might be 1 and 5s. I'm just letting you guys know that. But I try to be authentic, because how many people on the internet did you see that say, I never lose, I never lose, I don't never lose, I always win? And we know that's a lie, because you're bound to win and you're bound to lose some too, okay? My expectations is to win. So of course, I'm going to give y'all what I think is going to be winning picks. If you want to fade me, I don't give a fuck. Fade me too. I don't think that's going to work out for you in the long run, but if you want to, hey, be my guest, right? All I'm saying is, when I have the bad weeks, I know the trolls are going to come, but when I bounce back another week, I want to see y'all come back after that and see how that goes, okay? But my initial reaction to the Lions game yesterday, I got to salute to Dan Campbell and them. They pulled it off, and it was a nasty game, and you have to win nasty games in this league. I do think the Chiefs kind of gave them that win, because listen, fuck all the drop passes. We know about that, right? We knew about all of that. But my thing was, it's 4th and 25. You have 3 full timeouts left, and it was right before a 2-minute warning. Why the hell would you go for it? I didn't. If it was like on a 40-yard line, like the Lions 40-yard line, I can understand. But you're in your own, you're backed up to maybe the 30, 35-yard line, and you're going for it. I didn't get that play. What did Andy Reid thought it was? The Green Bay game when he was with Philly? Is that what he thought? And don't get it wrong, Mahomes was doing all he can. I mean, I remember it was one play, he threw a throw so tight in the window, I thought it was a pick. But then when you look and saw the receiver at, I was like, oh. You know, the pick six, because Tooney couldn't catch the ball, it was in his hands. I mean, you know, fluke shit happens. But the Lions won that game. I learned from both teams that, hey, Lions, they're going to play nasty at times, and you have to. And the Chiefs, the defense, even without Chris Jones, stepped up. But now you can imagine if Chris Jones was in that game, they probably do win that game, probably squeak by. I did say week 1 spread picks, Lions to cover, Chiefs to win. So the Lions did cover. It depends on how you got the number, because at one point it went all the way down to 3.5, and I was like, I was tempted to take Chiefs, but I wanted -3. And then they ended up being a pick 'em when the Lions first scored. I knew something was up, so I backed off on a live bet. But it was a good game to start off the week 1. No excuse for the Chiefs, though. You got to do better. So Patrick Mahomes saying he's embarrassed, I understand why he said that, but the receiver core, you should be embarrassed. I mean, this is all I was seeing. I mean, every play was a drop, and it's in your hands. It's in your hands, bro. Like, come on, man. There's only so much Patty can do. But Lions won a nasty game. Gibbs is impressive. Branch was impressive. The rookie class coming in, I knew was going to be impressive. I knew that was going to be a thing. But shout out to Lions. Good win. But let's get into the college football. We're going to try to ride off that 5-1 momentum from that one. Let's start, though. First game. Appalachian State plus 18. Yes, Appalachian State. We're taking them against North Carolina. It is a somewhat in-state rivalry. I think it's the second part of the home-to-home. And listen, I know North Carolina looked impressive against South Carolina to most people. You know, they look and say, oh, they played great against the SEC team. Yeah, but South Carolina was also kind of in a subpar rebuild mode too. You know, outside of Spencer Rattler, I know they lost Cam Smith, who went to the Dolphins. They lost a lot of players on defense. So I think they were a lot more vulnerable on defense, which is why North Carolina was able to take advantage and South Carolina couldn't catch up. But App State, they hung on last year. They were plus 14 underdogs at home. And they gave North Carolina a fight to the fucking end. I mean, it was high scoring. I would probably aim into the over if you're interested, but with this game, I do think App State keeps this game close. I'm not sold on North Carolina defense. I'm still fading away from their defense. You know, I respect Drake May and points will be scored, but points will be scored at App State. You know, they got a decent solid tier of running backs, 2 solid receivers. They starting quarterback is not playing this game, but the second string quarterback came in and played efficient last week too. So I don't see really no momentum drop off. I see the coach getting prepared for this game. I'm not saying App State wins this game, but 18 points is a lot. If they lose by 10, we still good with that. So give me App State plus 18. Next game, we got Troy. Troy plus 16.5, some books plus 17. I took both. This is probably not going to be the prettiest one. They play Kansas State. This might be a boring game. Troy State has one of the best defenses in the nation. Sturdy offensive line, so, you know, you could be able to move the ball with a good offensive line. Kansas State is so much drop-off. You know, there's no more Deuce Vaughn. I think Will Howard transferred. I mean, there's a lot of players that they lost from either transfer portal or just graduation or all, you know, just went to the NFL. I don't see them being no more than maybe a 7-win team, but brand new secondary coming in. That's very alarming. Troy can move the ball up and down the field and play defense. I think this is a close game. Do not be shocked. I think this might be the upset that can happen, though. Okay. I'm not optimistic on App State beating North Carolina, but I am optimistic on Troy beating Kansas State. So Troy plus 16.5, but if you see plus 17 in some books, take it. Next game, we're going with a little bit of the hype. This is probably going to be a public pick, but I'm kind of going to throw that mindset out the window. Colorado -3 against Nebraska. First game from Coach Prime at home. And you know what? Shout out to Fox with the big noon kickoff. Whoever was all on Dion for the first 2 weeks, they need a raise because them ratings are going to go crazy. You know, week 1, he debuted against TCU. They won. And now you're talking about Nebraska, an old rivalry coming into town. Gus Johnson broadcasting the game. Yeah, this is going to be a crazy game. With Nebraska, they covered. They did lose, but I saw a stat that said they're about 4-20 when they lose games between a touchdown or less. That's very alarming. And I know this is Matt Rule's first full season, but you have to look at it like that too, right? This is his first full year as well. But my thing is, this will be a tougher test for Colorado, absolutely, against a Nebraska defense who they played pretty solid. But my question is, if it becomes a shootout, are you going to trust Shedeur Sanders or are you going to trust Jeff Sims? And you know what? Let's talk about Jeff Sims. This is why I'm really fading him. It's because of Jeff Sims. This was the same quarterback that if you were listening to me in an audio podcast last year, when I was fading Georgia Tech, that was their quarterback. Like, I mean, I watched a lot of Georgia Tech games to know that this guy, as a passer, isn't good. Now, on the move, mobility, absolutely, he can run. You know, the one play he did have against Minnesota when he threw a dot. I mean, y'all can see that was a reverse pass back to him that kind of fumble. He picked it up and threw the ball, but it was a broken play. Sometimes broken plays happen, and if you can react off that, I have to respect that. But other than that, I mean, Colorado mindset was against TCU. Let's see if you can beat us in the passing game. I think you have to change that mindset. Say, we want you to try to beat us in the run game because we know you can't pass the ball good. And they have the corners to in the secondary to exploit that. But like I said, if it gets to a shootout, which I believe Shazor Sanders will listen, 4 receivers with 100 yards. Travis Hunter playing both sides. First game at home for Coach Prime. That's enough to me. I'm not care about none of the trends. Give me Colorado -3. Lastly, for college football, we're going to have Auburn and California over 54 points. Now, this might be a tricky game because you got Auburn, right? Alabama team traveling all the way to out by the Bay in Berkeley. And this is a 10:30 game, I believe, as well. California also +6.5. So if you are interested in +6.5, I will wait to kick off. You might see a +7 because this is going to be, think about so many games you're going to have from 12 to 11 o'clock, right? Think about all those games. You got 12 o'clock windows, 3:30 windows, 2 o'clock windows, 7 o'clock windows, 6 o'clock. I mean, think about all those time zone changes you have. By the time it's about close to 9 o'clock, that number may go up to +7. But I do like the over in this game. Hugh Freeze, kind of going to implement what he's been doing with Auburn. They scored a lot of points against UMass, and it was UMass, but California defense has been they weren't the best. They did put up impressively 45 points against North Texas, which everyone, even the sharps, was on North Texas. But I see both teams scoring at least over 25 points. So if I can see it being in the 30s at some point. I wouldn't be shocked if California win this game outright. It's just because of what I say with the travel. I'm talking to somebody that played college sports, and he told me firsthand, it can get tiring. You traveling from a whole different time zone all the way to the West Coast. By the time you're doing walkthroughs, you're pretty much tired out. And I can believe that. California has 2 explosive running backs. And, there's another stat I've seen about Coach Wilcox. Against the spread, very, very good. And sometimes straight up, outright wins games above 500. So with that all being said, though, it is a lean on +7 if I can get +7 for California, but the official play is over 54 points scored. It's going to be a shootout. Now, let's get into the NFL. Got 3 good picks I love, all underdog value, and I would give you a teaser. And I will also have it on the screen, so I explain to you what a teaser is to some people who don't know about teaser parlays, because these are really the only parlays I do week in and week out because I find success in those. So let's get into the first game, though. Cleveland Browns on the money line, +113 against the Bengals. It's the Battle of Ohio. And the first game, and it's at Cleveland. I feel confident with the Browns winning this game outright. With Burrow, I'm just thinking Burrow's not fully healthy. He didn't even play a snap in preseason. I know that doesn't really matter when you already know the system, but it's just to get in the gel and the flow of moving. And, everyone says he's moving fine, but my thing is I want to see him get hit. Can you get hit and laid out and get back up and still play right? That's really what I want to see. With the Browns, we know about Garrett. You got Zadarius Smith. Good pickup. But the one pickup no one talks about, Lions fans, y'all know about this person right here. Jim Schwartz. He's the defensive coordinator. He came back into the football ranks. We saw the defense he had pulled off with the Eagles when they played the Patriots in the Super Bowl. We've seen him with the Bills after the Lions years. We've seen that, and I think you still have that mindset, man. Denzel Ward, we are a little worried. I don't know if he's going to play, but I still think this defense is going to do pretty good. I'm really relying on Deshaun Watson being at least a league average. If he can be league average this year, especially this game, I mean, you got Chubb, so I think you're going to rely on that offensive line and run the ball. We only need you to do manageable passing game, man. We don't need you to do much because Chubbs does eat against this Bengals team. And what I worry about the Bengals on the defensive side, you lose two of your best safeties. You lose Bates and Bell. You lose two solid guys. I don't know. I mean, I like Daxton Hill from Michigan, but you convert him from cornerback to safety. He was only playing really nickel a lot last year. Now he's going to be the full-time starter. We'll really see how that panned out. But for the first game, though, I love the Browns in this matchup. I'm throwing all that little statistics. This is a division rival. I always talk about how the rivalry games are. Let's go ahead and go with the Browns on the money line. Next game, another underdog, another division rival game. Carolina Panthers plus 153 on the money line against the Atlanta Falcons. I've been adamant about how I wouldn't trust Ritter. I would rather trust a fresh young buck, Bryce Young, before I trust Ritter. This is actually the college football playoff quarterback rematch, right? And that's kind of how I looked at it. Bryce Young showed out more against Ritter. But now that we in the NFL, Ritter has the better weapons. But I just think Bryce Young has the better coaching and the better offensive line, the better defense. I mean, everyone, I've heard somebody say that the Falcons can be a top 10 defensive unit. Who the fuck told you that lie? So other than AJ Terrell, can anybody comment who else is pretty solid on the defense? I mean, you're relying on 40-year-old Calais Campbell, who, I mean, I haven't even seen him get a sack with the Ravens last year. The linebacker unit is poor. So you're relying on AJ Terrell to make every play. Okay. But let's shift to the Panthers defense. I was concerned with Brian Burns. I didn't know if he was going to play. It looked like he is going to be playing as he was trying to hold out, but I was aware Wednesday. Once I was aware Wednesday that he was going to be playing, I instantly was confident with the money line pick. He's one of their best pass rushers, the most underrated pass rusher in the NFL. We'll say that because he shows up, but no one pays attention. You still got Derrick Brown in the trenches. You know, you got Shaq Thompson, which a lot of people don't realize when they play the Falcons with Kyle Pitts there. Shaq Thompson actually checked Kyle Pitts pretty good. You know, I tried doing the over-under props for Pitts, and I lose all the time because look who's checking them. It's Shaq Thompson. J.C. Horn. You got Jeremy Chin in the secondary. I just – it is really on coaching if they lose this game. You know, I know Frank Wright starts very slow, and that is a concern. But I'm almost confident to feel like if the Falcons are going to do nothing but run the ball, and if you can at least stop the run a lot of times on those drives, I think you're confident to win this game. So go ahead and give me the Panthers on the money line outright. Fuck the points. Lastly, for my third initial pick for NFL, Houston Texans plus 10 on the road against the Ravens. This is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, an unpopular bet, because a lot of people are going to think the Texans are going to be god awful. You can already look at the potential mock draft projections. They're already projected number 2, which is the Arizona Cardinals pick because they got the Will Anderson swap. I don't think they're going to be that bad. D'Amico Ryans is a defensive-minded guy. I've already expressed it to why I think they're going to cover. With the Ravens, there's already speculations with Odell injury. Odell has an ankle injury. That's the speculations that I've been hearing. I don't think that's going to change a lot as far as the spread, but I mean, it makes you worry less, right? And we're going to pass the ball a lot more for the Ravens. If I see Lamar throw the ball more than 30 times, I'm kind of questioning it. And I think he might throw the ball 30 times. And also my wonder is, will they still throw the same ball with Andrews? Because Andrews was his favorite target. So now you're having Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, and what's his name? Bateman. But I don't really know. This is the first game with a whole new offense. We know John Harbaugh covers games usually at home, but CJ Stroud was better than Davis Mills, right? I think if they run the ball and let that clock, I think they're going to run the ball on the Ravens. I really think they're going to do that. I'm not saying they're going to be successfully good at it, but I mean, if you give me 4 or 5 yard chunk plays, and with me, I look at it like this: my best friend has to be the clock. When I'm picking any plus double digit underdog, I think the clock has to be my best friend, because when you're getting 4 or 5 yards running the ball and that clock just keeps ticking, then you get another first down. Then they may be in field goal range and they score. You're like, okay. Or even they score a touchdown, right? I just think this team is this team's going to be a lot better than people think, Tank Dell, I already mentioned how efficient, how good a receiver he's going to be. You got Nico Collins. You got Michi back. You got Dalton Schultz. That was a very underrated pickup for the Texans. They have the team, man. Do not sleep on this team at all. If they're going to keep on being double-digit underdogs in a lot of these games, which some Vegas may assume it may do, I'm going to take a lot of them, because I think Texans are going to have to fight just because of D'Amico as the coach. And there's a couple games I'm going to talk about. I don't even have a bet on it, but it made my mind wonder. It made me wonder why I backed off. The Raiders, as much as I was on the Raiders, we're now seeing all these distractions with Chandler Jones and him talking about the GM and the head coach. This is already a sign of toxic shit to happen with the Raiders. There's going to be a lot of I don't really know. This team hasn't been worse shit in a minute. I've always said they're one injury from Jimmy G away from being the worst team in the NFL. As much as I love Devontae Adams, I almost hate that this is happening to him, because, hell, what if he did stay in Green Bay? Even with Jordan Love, I still think they would be even more better. But I'm staying away from that game. I don't even trust Denver. And my thoughts was on the Jets. Some people asked me, do I think Jets will win against the Bills? My opinion, yes. But I don't. This is how I look at lines, and I hope it gets inflated. I almost hope the Jets do lose and the Cowboys win against the Giants, because the Cowboys and Jets play week 2, and if I'm able to see the Jets as an underdog right after the Monday night, like that's really what I'm going to pay attention to. Sunday night and Monday night, Cowboys win, and if the Jets lose, once that week 2 games come up lines and I see plus money for Jets, I'm instantly taking the Jets, because Aaron Rodgers comes into Jerry World and does his thing. So I'm going to kind of sit off and wait and watch this game and just analyze it. But enough of all of that. We're going to go ahead and give you my teaser. I do 7 points. And we're going to add some underdogs and a couple favorites. I'll have it on the screen so you can sit there and look at it while I'm talking about it. We're going to have the Steelers from plus 2.5. We're going to tease it up to plus 9. We got the Browns from plus 1.5. We tease it up to 8.5. Washington, I do like them to win outright. So we're going to take that -7 and we're going to take it to 0. So pretty much meaning they have to either win or tie, and you'll be okay with that. The Jacksonville Jaguars from -4.5. We're going to tease that down to plus 2.5. And the Eagles from -4 to plus 3. I think this is a solid teaser. This should hit. My mind tells me if the Steelers or Browns lose, it's going to be probably by a field goal or 7 points. Either or you'll cover, because it's plus 9.5, plus 8.5. Okay? But you guys continue to subscribe, like, drop some comments down. I want to interact. What's your favorite bet for the week? It can be FIBA basketball. It can be MLB. It can be college football. It can be NFL. I don't care. Drop some comments down. Let's see what you guys are thinking, all right? And as usual, you guys be safe out here, and let's get this money.